Hey, welcome back to the Girl Be Free podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan, your community cultivator and founder of Be Free Project. I help women who are ready to flourish, feel fulfilled, and be free to show up for themselves. I am deeply passionate about community, sisterhood, and personal growth. So if that's your jam, keep on listening. And now let's get into the show. Hey, welcome back to another episode. I am so happy to be in your ears once again for another week. Just to let you know, you may hear some rain in the background. It is raining outside, and it's a nice breeze coming through. And so I just wanted to let you know that just in case you're like, what is that noise in the background? But I believe it's going to really set the tone for this episode. So before we get into it, I want to share with you what I'm loving this week. And it's my friend, Achie. She recently launched her podcast, I Am Achie. And it's all about personal growth, personal development, and really debunking the thought process around limited beliefs. She also records affirmations and to help you be mindful and present. And she has such a soothing voice that I know you're going to love it. So, again, the name of her podcast is I Am Achie Podcast. You can find it anywhere that you subscribe. It'll also be linked in my show notes. All right, so today is going to be a very honest episode. Not that I'm not ever honest, but I'm about to share some things with you that are a little bit uncomfortable, but we're going to get through this. And I was actually inspired to record this episode by Achie because she has something similar on her own podcast. And the topic of today is 12 things that I'm afraid to tell you. And if you listen to my previous episode, it was a solo one titled Becoming Siobhan, you know that I'm in this season of really learning who I am and really embracing this glow up season, but also being more transparent, being more vulnerable, and really sharing more of myself with my audience. And what I know to be true is the more that I continue to share with you guys, the more you can relate. When I released the episode titled Becoming Siobhan, I received several emails about it and comments on Instagram with people like, were you reading my journal? Like, I can relate and identify so well. So that just makes me happy because whenever I am, processing and going through things in my own life, I like to share it with my community. So I love that you guys are growing with me. So here we go. The 12 things that I am afraid to tell you. Number one, oh my goodness, this is making me like nervous as I'm about to say these things out loud. And some of these things I never admitted to anyone or don't want to admit. But okay. Number one is I am a workaholic. Now, that's not something that I'm proud of by any stretch of the imagination, but I love my work. I love Be Free Project. I love the impact that I get to make. I love creating new services and resources and products and content, and I love sharing. And I could sit and work for hours and hours and hours and be completely fine. And the reason I'm afraid to tell you that is because, and that's probably with everything on my list here, is that people will judge you and people will say something weird. And I don't like that. But I am a workaholic. I will say, even when I was in corporate America, I had the same, I guess, behavior patterns, if you will, because I worked like my regular shift. And if there was overtime available to make more money, I would work the overtime. And if you're not aware, if you're not familiar with Enneagrams, I highly recommend you take an Enneagram personality test, and I will drop a link to do that in the show notes. But I'm an Enneagram 3-2, which is an achiever. And this characteristic of being a workaholic aligns with being a 3 wing 2. And I know that may sound like a foreign language, but you got to take the personality test. You'll get it once you take it. And so just my natural behavior and my patterns, like it makes sense that I'm a workaholic because I want to succeed. I want to win. I want to achieve. Image is very important to me. There's so many different things that kind of describe that particular Enneagram number. And so, yes, I am a workaholic. And I don't mind, I don't mind. But the issue is it can create burnout. And that's not a good thing. And so because I'm aware of that, I shared actually with HE. I said, I got to learn how to do a better job at resting. I have to do a better job at resting. And sometimes this work gets overwhelming, even though I love it to my core, it gets overwhelming with all the things. And she actually is now holding me accountable to resting. And so I have been resting every Sunday. I don't work at all. And I will tell you, I was fighting with her for the first couple of weeks. I mean, every week there's something where I try to get out of it. And she just reminds me, like, no, this is what you're going to do because you work so much. And that's why I talk so much about friendship, and it's so important that you have the right friends in your life that will hold you accountable because they really care about your well-being. But anywho, because of me being a workaholic, you know, now Sundays are rest days, and I do nothing Be Free Project related on Sundays. I share that with my family. I shared it with my friends. And so now we're all getting into a groove of this is what I do. And I have to admit, it feels good, but sometimes it's just hard to get there because I can always think about something I can be working on, but I have to learn how to rest. So that is number one. This next one, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to say it. And I'm afraid to tell you this because I know people will judge, but I love God. I love God so much. And I have a very intentional spiritual practice that works very well for me. And I have a relationship with God. I feel God. His presence is always around me. Like I am very connected and I have just a beautiful spiritual connection. However, I have not been to church in over a year. And the reason I'm afraid, again, to tell you that is because I grew up in the church heavily. And then even went into adulthood, like I was a faithful member at my church on ministry, Sunday, Wednesday night Bible study, like doing all the things. And it was great while it was great. And then over time, I've just been doing a lot of inner work and a lot of growing. There is a church service that I love to watch online, Transformation Church. I believe he's in Oklahoma. Pastor Mike Todd, which I really enjoy watching his service because he's so relatable. But as far as being inside of a church, I have not been in over a year. And I am 110% comfortable with that. I love the relationship that I have with God and my spiritual practice and all the things that I have put in place. But as far as going to an actual building, that's not something that I'm interested in doing right now. And I know people have their own beliefs, and the reason why I'm afraid to say this is because people will project on you and they will automatically judge you. And we are all living our own individual lives. And I don't think it's fair to judge someone based on when they do something different from you. Like we're all living out our own lives, and I think that that's perfectly fine. Whew, I said that out loud and I didn't cry. All right, number 3. And this is a funny one. But I am uncoordinated and I cannot dance. I've always been uncoordinated. I cannot take an aerobic class. It's almost like I have 2 left feet, right? That's sometimes how I feel. Yeah, I've always been self-conscious about it. And so if I was the girl to go out to the club and all that jazz, I would be the one that would be sitting down because if I would try to dance, I feel like everybody would be staring at me and then I would be uncomfortable. And it's always been this awkward thing. However, I am coming out of my shell. Now, I don't know if it's with the whole thing of being 40, but now I'm like, I'm going to dance like nobody's watching. And if I look crazy or whatever, I don't care. Like I am going to fully be free and live my best life. And that means that I'm going to move my body freely. And because I don't like that I don't dance. Like that's like such a bummer. Like get out there and move your body. And yeah, so that's something that I was afraid to tell you. The next thing that I'm afraid to tell you is that I drink wine. I drink wine and occasionally I will have a cocktail when I'm being social with friends and things like that. And I enjoy it. Like I prefer sweet wine. Overall, I love sweet things over savory, but I love a good Moscato, sangria. I love fun cocktails. Now, I do know my limits. I will say that. I have a very low tolerance for alcohol, and so 2 drinks max, and that's it for me. Which is fine, totally fine, but that is something that I enjoy doing. And I'm going to say with everything that I'm going to share with you, the reason that I'm saying is something that I'm afraid to say because these are things I haven't shared before. And I need my audience to understand that I am human, just like the next person. And I think sometimes when you keep things bottled up, not I think, when you keep things bottled up inside, that's when you carry shame and you carry guilt. All right. And so I'm in this space of releasing that so that way I can be more connected with myself and everyone that's close to me, including my community. Number 5, something that I'm afraid to tell you is that I take it personal when people judge me because I care about what people think. Now, not all people, but people that are close to me, I sometimes probably care more than I should. And so if they said something about me or questioned me about some things, I would take it personal. Now, I will say I'm doing much better with that. I have been picking up the 4 agreements more often than ever lately, and specifically reading the section on don't take things personally because I'm learning and growing in all of this, and I don't want to care what people think. I don't want to fear being judged because I think that that keeps you in a box. And that's why I recorded again the episode on becoming Siobhan and really letting my community know like I am trying to discover who I am in this new season of my life, who I am independent of everything that I've been connected to. And so, even with this particular episode, this is just again me pulling back the curtain so that you can see what's behind, let's just say Be Free Project and get to know me a little bit more. And as I'm sharing these things with you, I would love for you to share with me. You can always shoot me an email. You can always comment on a post on Instagram or even shoot me a DM and let me know something that you're afraid of. All right, number 6, something that I am afraid to say, even though I say this out loud, there's always some type of feeling that I have behind it when I say it, and it is I am going to be a multimillionaire. And the reason that I'm saying that's something that I'm afraid to say is because people will judge you. Like, who do you think you are? How are you going to do that? Or just all of the limited beliefs and negative vibes that they have. Again, they will project that on you. And more specifically, like friends and family. And I am going to be a multimillionaire. This company will be a multi-million-dollar company. No questions asked. And I want it and I'm going to make it happen. And again, that's the achiever in me. And I can see it so clearly. And I've already had visions of my dreams. I talked about that in another episode, From Rise to Reiki. So if you haven't listened to that episode, part 1 and part 2, I highly recommend going back to that because my dreams were made very clear to me. And I was able to see those in a vision. And so I know that I'm going to be a multimillionaire, but depending on who you're around and who you share that with, everybody can't receive it. And so because they can't receive it, they will project or, oh, when you get your money, give me some. Like, it's all of that, So I'm getting more comfortable with saying it out loud and learning not to care what people think because this is a dream that I have. It's a desire that I have. It's something that's going to happen in my life because I am determined to break the generational curses that have been over my family. And that ties to like every single area. And it's why I live my life the way that I live it. So number 7, what I'm afraid to tell you is that I only got my MBA to prove that I was smart. Now, I know you may be thinking, Siobhan, what were you thinking? But I always struggled with not feeling smart enough. Like that was a limited belief that I held on to, that I didn't feel smart enough. Whether I was with friends, at work, what have you, I just felt like I wasn't, right? And so when I was working for the bank several years ago, they had an option where you can get like tuition reimbursement. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get my MBA. And I got it in marketing communications, which marketing has something that I have always been fascinated by. But more so than anything, I wanted to prove that I was smart. And I believe I may have shared this on another episode where because of my mother wounds, I was always competing with my mother in my head. And so I made sure that I got enough education to prove that I was smart. So from a high school diploma to my bachelor's degree and then to my master's degree. The problem with that is that I'm still paying for this master's degree, still have the residual from that. Because even though there was tuition reimbursement, there was still out-of-pocket expenses for myself. And so that's something that I'm afraid to say, because why would I do that? But I did it to prove that I was smart. And now, I mean, there's many lessons that I've learned from that, but it was all about my limiting beliefs that I had about myself. Number 8, and 8 and 9 may go together, but number 8 is, I believe in my heart that I can have whatever I want. I mean, I really believe that I can have whatever I want. And uh, the reason that I'm afraid to say that is because some people will take that as arrogant. Some people will, judge or say something as it relates to ego. But I really believe I can have whatever it is that I want for my life. And you can't tell me any different. And whatever it is that I decide that I want, I go after it. It's just a decision that I make. It's a level of confidence, courage, but I go after it. And I honestly believe that I can have everything that I want in my life, because why not? My thought process is, if I was able to heal my mother wounds and get through that with all the things and the challenges that came with that, then I can do anything. And I believe that. But sometimes when you tell people that you believe that you can have whatever you want, they are intimidated because they don't have dreams, they don't have goals, they don't have a vision for their life. And so it's almost like, well, who do you think you are? And I think I'm amazing. And I believe that there's a scripture, I want to say Matthew 6:33, I could be wrong, but it says, many are called and few are chosen. I honestly believe with everything in my heart that I've been chosen. And because of that, I can have whatever I want, and it's going to happen for me. Number 9, I am an optimist. I am always focusing on positive thinking and positive energy. And the reason that I'm afraid to tell you that, because there's so many things going on in the world. Every single day there's negative news, and I don't consume it. And I'm not getting caught up in it. Now, I am aware of what is happening. I mean, I have to be. I'm a Black woman living in America. I'm aware of it, but I focus on positive thinking. It's almost like I put myself in this bubble where I'm really in tune with self and the work that I'm doing. And not that I'm dismissing or ignoring what's happening, but I don't let it consume me. And so I try my hardest to focus on being optimistic about the future, doing what I can control in my own life, and focusing on positive thoughts. And everybody can't take that, because they want you to get sucked into what's happening, the negativity of the world, and they want you to make a statement or a declaration or speak out about it. And it's like, I don't have to. There's enough people doing that. And I just don't feel like I have to do that. And at the end of the day, with everything, I have to protect myself. And that is how I protect myself, is by being optimistic. I'm not a fool, but I'm not spending a lot of time and energy consuming negativity when I don't have to. Number 10, and this may strike a nerve with some moms, but I love my kids. I have 2 children, but I always come first. I do not make them a priority over myself. And I don't feel guilty for that, because there was a time when I did drop my life to make sure that, whatever it was. And I was burning this candlestick from both ends. And I came to terms with, like, the only way that I can be a great mom to my children is I have to fill my own cup first. So sometimes that cup is being silent by myself with no interruptions. Sometimes filling my cup looks like me taking a nap in the middle of the day. Sometimes filling my cup is not answering every little question and letting you figure it out for yourself. Like I am just really intentional about making Siobhan a priority, that I don't feel guilty about not making the kids like my end all be all. And I want to kind of pause right there and say, like, everything that I'm sharing is about me. It is about me. It has nothing to do with you listening. Take from it what you want, but this is my thoughts and everything. Number 11, I am afraid of taking up too much space out of fear of being too much for people or people will leave me. Um, and the reason I'm afraid to say that, because that kind of ties into like my insecurities, and because I have abandonment issues and mother wounds, um, it ties to that. And then even things that have trickled over into friendships, um, just being afraid to be bold enough to take up space, whether it's engage in a conversation, it could be anything. And that insecurity has allowed me to play small. And now I'm like, every day I write down, I take up space. And I'm working on that a lot, um, because I didn't know how to do that before, because I didn't want to ruffle anyone's feathers, or I didn't want people to walk away or to leave me. So I played small just to be enough so that I can keep you close. But now I'm in this space of, no, you're going to take up all the space. You're going to be bold. You're going to do all the things. But that is something I'm afraid to tell you, because people perceive from the outside looking in, and they see Be Free Project and all of the things, you know, it looks like I'm, okay with taking up space, but sometimes I'm not. But I'm getting better at that. I'm getting better. And I think with me writing it down every single day and becoming more confident, that it's like, okay, you are here. You were chosen. You're here to take up space. It's okay. You get to use your voice. You get to speak your truth. And that is perfectly fine. And so those are things that I have to constantly remind myself of. And then number 12, and this is a light one, but I don't know if you know this about me, but I love rap music, trap rap, hip hop, all of the things. Um, and I listen to rap. Do I listen to it daily? I don't know if I listen to it every single day, but I listen a lot. Was a huge Tupac and Biggie fan, more so Tupac, back in the day. Um, I used to listen to Scarface, MJG at 8 Ball, UGK, and then I'm listening to the current rappers like DaBaby, J. Cole, Jay-Z, like all of the things, Kendrick. But I love rap music. I love, 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 love rap music a lot. And yeah, and I don't know if people know that. So one of the things I started doing on Instagram is, now that I've been sharing like my walks every single day with you guys, every time I share the steps that I got for the day, I'll put a rap song on it. And it's just helping me to come out of my shell. And basically everything that I shared with you today is me coming out of my shell and sharing my truth. So those are the things that I was afraid to tell you. That is my truth. And this wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I feel really good that I share these things. And your action step for this week is to share with me. Whether you send me an email, you DM me on Instagram, you comment on a post on Instagram, but what are some things you're afraid of? And I would even encourage you to write in your journal. What are some things that you're afraid to say? Because the more you hold those things in, you carry shame and you carry guilt. But when you start to release it, and even releasing it out loud on this podcast where thousands and thousands of people are listening, I'm like, whoo, Siobhan, what are you doing? But it's okay. And if people choose to judge, that's their business. It has nothing to do with me. And so thank you for allowing me to share my truth with you. And until next time, girl, be free. Hey BFFs, I want to personally invite you to BeFreeInnerCircle.com, your community for real sisterhood where women are showing up and doing the work. Whether you're still trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up, or you need accountability to keep pushing forward to reach your goals, the Be Free Inner Circle is the community for you. You can expect curated content that will support you on becoming the best version of yourself, live office hours and Q&A sessions where we chat about things like overcoming self-doubt, building your confidence, practicing self-care without guilt, and so much more. Virtual live events from book clubs and workshops with guest speakers, and a supportive and active community of women that will encourage you, hold you accountable, cheer you on, and give you honest feedback and advice. It's the perfect place to be for women who are ready to show up, flourish, and be free. Join today at BeFreeInnerCircle.com.